You are live, you are live.
Welcome everybody to another live dive here at Casuarina Point in Grand Cayman. I'm Pat, your underwater biologist for today. We have Rian on camera and Simone up on the surface. Now today we are out on the left hand side of Casuarina Point, which is on the western side of Grand Cayman. And I'm on a sand patch that's covered with little coral bombings, which is just little sections of coral that come out from the sand. So we're going to be exploring these coral bombings, looking for a spiny lobster or a moray eel. And hopefully on the sand around us we might run into an eagle ray or a stingray.
Yeah, guys, I am Simone and I'm on the surface ready to answer your questions or send some down to Pat for you. Don't forget to hashtag diveLIVE on Twitter, talk on our YouTube chats, or watch us on diveLIVE's Facebook page. We will be monitoring all of the questions you are sending in. And I'm personally really excited to see a moray eel, but tell us what you guys want to see. Maybe we can keep an eye out.
Yes, we're always expecting the unexpected here, so tell us what you want to see.
Now, Pat, what was your depth? It looks quite deep there.
Yeah, so we've come out a little bit deeper today. I am at 17 metres down, so about 60 feet.
That's pretty deep, but I think maybe some big things will be hanging out down there.
Yes, hoping so. We really would love an eagle ray. That would be just absolutely beautiful. But we're also going to be checking these little cracks and crevices. Hopefully find your moray.
Yeah. Dogs would love to see an eagle ray as well, but I don't want him to because then I don't get to see it in real life. And it looks quite beautiful. We're busy flying over some Gorgonian corals. So these aren't plants, they are corals.
Yes, they look very plant-like, but that's because of their structure. So right now they have their polyps extended, which is what gives it that furry kind of fuzzy texture on the top. And there are actually some here that don't have their polyps extended, which is good for contrast. So if you look at, sorry, I'll just get in here so I can point it out.
Yeah.
So this purple one here is actually not got its polyps out, and this one here does.
Yeah.
So we can see the difference there. And what the polyp is an individual animal. And now, on these Gorgonians, they grow on an axial skeleton. So they grow in a rod-like form, which means that they branch out and look like plants. And when they have these little polyps extended, they really look like plants with little leaves coming off them as well.
Yeah, so a reminder that those are two of the same species of coral, but one has their polyps out on the left and one has their polyps withdrawn on the right. I like the left one because it looks like a 70s shag carpet. Now, a few people would like to see some turtles as well, so we'll definitely have to keep our eye out for that.
Yes, most definitely. We've always got our eye out for a turtle here. And this is an actual pretty hot spot for the turtles. Simone, you saw one here yesterday, did you not?
Yeah, I went on an exploratory drive yesterday afternoon and I saw a juvenile hawksbill. So maybe he's still hanging around, probably looking for some food at the moment. It is the morning time, so he's probably a little bit hungry.
So it's quite interesting to see here just how scattered these coral bombings are. And that is it. Well, the difference between the sand patches and the coral is that there has been some sort of substrate that's hard that's been created by binding the sand. So the sand here is calcium carbonate. And when that is there's certain organisms called cementing organisms, and what they do is they bind the sand into a hard surface. So this allows other corals and algae and some animals to settle on. And this eventually starts growing up and up and up and creates a structure such as these little bombings that we're seeing here. So that's really the only difference between what starts as a sandy patch and what starts as a coral patch is it's little organisms just binding the sand together to make a hard surface.
Yeah, there's so many minute things that we can't even see. So you can imagine how long it took for scientists to discover, you know, these tiny processes. Now, it looks like we have a tilefish up ahead.
Quite a few in this little area. It's also funny enough because we cannot see a tilefish nest. So these tilefish usually create nests that they will hang around, but there's about 3 in the vicinity of me, 4 actually, but I cannot spot a nest anywhere.
Yeah. So those tilefish are the long, thin, white-looking fish. We can see a few on the screen now. Yeah, so normally they make nests and they protect their nests quite voraciously. So I'm not sure why they're here. Maybe they're mating or maybe they're scoping out a new place to build a nest.
Yes, they're all just kind of hanging out in this one little area. Not sure why. There is a lot of loose rubble around though, and that is what they use to build their nest. So maybe they're out looking for new nesting material.
Or maybe they're looking to steal some from someone else's nest. And this is a tilefish with a T for Tom. And they swim quite differently to a lot of other fish. You can see their bodies are almost snake-like as they wind through the reefs.
Yeah, they almost resemble an eel, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And there are quite a lot, and they do hang around the sandier areas. They don't really venture up onto the reef. And they're amazing. And because they are so long, they can really dive underneath nests and sand away from predators. So they're not very easy to catch for those predators. Ridgely was wondering, why are they called tilefish?
Oh, that is a good question. Do you know, Simone?
Well, I presume it's because they form these nests almost like putting different pieces of tiles or rubble together.
Yeah, that was going to be my guess.
Yeah, there are some crazy names down on the reef, so it's always interesting to think about where they were formed from.
Yeah. A lot of the time it has to do with their shape or their form, but it can also come from behaviour or even just like local tongue in a way as well. So yes, and around the world they can be named a lot of different things, which can make things a little difficult, but it's all about getting to know your reef and your local lingo, I suppose.
Yeah, if you ever hear us say a name that isn't what you know that fish as, please tell us, because they do differ all around the world. So it's always interesting to hear different names. We have some beautiful colors. When the camera goes closer to the rocks, we can see all these really vibrant reds of the corals. Now, red is normally lost at these depths, so this is why having a light really shows us the coral colors in their true form.
Yeah. Yes, it's nice sometimes illuminating the reef because you see a lot that you don't really expect. Because as you go deeper, light is absorbed more and more, and depending on the wavelength of this light, that reflects kind of how the light is absorbed. So the further you go down, the more colours you start losing. And as Simone said, red is the first.
Yeah.
And speaking of colours, we've got a very, very vibrantly coloured giant anemone here.
It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, look at those. Are the tips coming across green to you? They look quite green.
Yes, almost a neon green.
They're gorgeous, just flowing in the currents there. How large would you say this giant anemone is? Obviously, the name kind of gives it a...
Yeah, so, I mean, it isn't as big as other ones here on the reef. Mm-hmm. I would say it's about slightly bigger than a baseball.
And Donna Bryce was wondering, do we have jellyfish and how do we treat their stings? So I think we should tell her that you're pretty much looking at a jellyfish right now.
Yeah, so anemones and jellyfish are very closely related. An anemone is essentially just an upside-down attached jellyfish. And what they both have in common is these stinging cells called nematocysts that they use to paralyze their prey and use also in defense.
Yeah, and these stinging cells are loaded almost like a spring gun. So they're packed away into little cells, and when anything touches them, they eject straight into your skin.
Now, Rian, just if we want to move up here, we've got two giant snapper here, and they're actually feeding at the moment. So hopefully we can get a bit of this action. It looks like there's some Creole wrasse schooling up here in the water, and the snapper up here, which is kind of herding them in a way. They were splitting up the packs and going for them.
They are huge. Do you know what type of snapper they are?
It looks like a muck snapper. There's black spots at the back of it. Tells me that it's a muck snapper, and it's probably about 80 centimetres long, so over 2 foot long.
That is pretty huge for some snappers on this reef. I'm sure a lot of the fish are pretty scared right now.
Yeah.
That's not how you want to start your day, with a fearsome predator cruising the top of the reefs.
Can you say hi?
And hello for Renee Bratt, who is watching. Please feel free to ask any questions on the hashtag diveLIVE Twitter and the diveLIVE Facebook page. And to continue from that anemone, the question also included, how do we treat these stings? I would say that we treat it a lot of the time with vinegar or even fresh water.
Or you could use the approach of urine. So when I have been here once, I got an unknown sting, and I was told by our other presenter, Lauren, to put urine on it. And so I did, only for Simone to tell me that that wouldn't actually work.
Yes, urine is fable. It is not a way to treat jellyfish stings. Unfortunately, Pat learnt that the hard way. And now, are you shallowing up because you're now on more coral reefs than sand at the moment?
Sorry, can you just repeat that there, Simone?
Are you coming a little bit shallower, as it looks more corally than sandy?
Yeah, definitely. So we have come quite a bit shallower. At 8.6 metres now, so about 35 feet, which is almost half the depth I was at, or less than half the depth I was at, more than half, sorry, I was at before.
And we can see that we had that anemone on screen, which didn't have the green tips. It's still the same species. It just doesn't have those green tips like the other. And Annie is wondering, outside of protected areas, are tropical marine fish captured to sell for home aquariums, or are there breeders? So the anemone that we're looking at now is in the aquarium trade, and they can be bred in the aquaculture trade. But most marine species, I think 98%, are wild caught. So that's a lot of fish taken out of the reefs. But anemones breed quite easily in captivity, so it's quite nice that, you know, it's easy to have one in your aquarium and easy to take care of it.
So we can see if we move over this way, we have quite a big school of little blue and brown chromases. And now they're sitting quite a bit above the reef, feeding on the plankton, drifting about. But I also suspect that they would be waiting for these big snapper that are cruising about today to come over and get a clean of them. So usually when there's a big coral projection like this and lots of little fish, we can assume that it is some sort of cleaning station. Now what this means is that bigger fish will cruise on past and stop and wait for the little fish to come and eat lots of little parasites off them, which benefits the animal because they're getting the bad stuff cleaned off them, and it benefits the little fish because they're getting a really, really easy lunch or breakfast at this time of day.
Yeah, and they're so important to keeping the entire reef clean. You can imagine parasites can be quite detrimental. So they ensure that there's stability on the reef. And they're just the teeny weeny fish that you think would have no role, but they clean their clients very well. And there are some studies that show that client fish who are getting cleaned will choose a favorite cleaning station. So if they get a really good job, they will come back. There are also some naughty fish that pretend to be cleaning fish when they are not. So they camouflage like a cleaning fish, and they actually bite flesh. So they try and take a big bite out of the client fish. Wow, so we have loads of fish on this coral head here. It's gorgeous.
Yes, and they're all very small. I would say every fish here is under 10 centimetres or 4 inches.
Yeah, and there were some blue chromis, the bright blue fish. There was some small brown chromis, so there was the browner version. And there's some striped wrasse there. They have long stripes going down their body. Wow, there's just too many to name. Tell us which ones you like, and we'll try and name them for you, everybody.
Yeah, this is mostly blue and brown chromis, but there are a couple of damselfish also worked in here. And now the damselfish, so this is the damselfish here. This is a little bit bigger and fatter than the rest with the browny yellow colours, and it is probably defending itself right now. We can see that not many fish are coming close to it, and that is because they are vicious. They will defend their territory with everything they have, because they actually farm algae on these territories.
Oh, I think something's been spotted. What is that? Is that a Cero?
Yes, just swimming up to the surface. What is it doing up there?
Who knows? So a Cero is in the family of mackerels, or a close relative to mackerels, not the family.
Oh, that is a big snapper right in front of us here.
Wow, he's swimming straight towards you. It looks beautiful. Is that a mutton snapper?
Yes, it's another mutton snapper. There's quite a few about this morning. I believe it's because there's all these little fish up here feeding on plankton in the column. So that is creating an opportunity for the snapper to feed. So quite often smaller food opportunities will make other food opportunities for larger predators. For example, the sardine run in South Africa, when there's lots and lots and lots of sardines around, then just about everything will come to feed on. So like smaller fish will come to feed on the sardines, and then larger fish will feed on that, and then you'll get your really big predators like your sharks and your dolphins, and everything just comes in and goes crazy. Yeah,
they are really well in tuned into where the food is. So this mutton snapper has probably sensed that there's lots of plankton in the water, and most likely the food he wants is going to be floating high in the water column. So that's why he's quite high.
Found my favourite fish here, the queen angelfish.
Oh, well, Christina just asked, do you get any types of angelfish there?
Perfect.
So that's a queen angelfish, Christina.
So it's called an angelfish because if you were to tip it on its mouth, it would look like an angel, just like on a Christmas tree, because it has these big extended dorsal and ventral or top and bottom fins.
Yeah, and we can tell it's the queen because it has this bright blue crown on its forehead. Very regal and royal, I think.
Yeah. And this bright coloration is believed to be a predator deterrent because when they move very quickly, they have a very exaggerated bend in their body to each side when they move. So the combination of the bright colours and the very almost mesmerising movement can make it very difficult and confusing for a predator.
Yeah, they're very flamboyant, and they also, normally they're in pairs, so they normally have partners around a reef. All we can see he's busy feeding right now. Most likely eating some sponges.
Yes, it doesn't seem to be a sponge here. It could be algae. They do have a pretty generalist diet, but they are one of the only fish here on the reef that will feed on sponges.
Yeah, so he's woken up for his morning breakfast. Yeah, so they normally do go in pairs, and they will mate for a very long time. The queen angelfish is actually in the aquarium trade from the previous question. About 45,000 of them are caught in the wild every 5 years for the aquarium trade. So that's pretty crazy numbers.
In my opinion, it's much, much better to see them out here in the wild living their natural life.
Yeah, I agree.
It's always a treat to see them here on the reefs of Grand Cayman.
And they're really widely distributed. So, you know, if anyone who's watching has a coral reef, chances are there will be an angelfish, maybe even a queen angelfish, on your local reef. They're distributed all around the Caribbean, as well as down almost to Argentina. So they don't mind the chilly waters too much.
Just a little air update while I'm looking. I'm on 100 bar, so I'm moving through my air quite quickly today.
That's okay. It's because you're deep and you're trying to find those big animals for us. It's definitely going to be worth it.
So, if we can come back here, we are. Just want to show everyone a close relative of the angelfish, which is the little butterfly fish here, or more specifically the spot-fin butterfly fish.
I'd love to see butterfly fish. They're very beautiful colours. So there in the centre, there's that yellow and white fish with the black bar running through its eyes. Gorgeous.
So we can see that they do, despite being a lot smaller, they do have a very similar body shape to the angelfish, just a bit more rounded and more butterfly-like, to put it plainly. And these guys have a very pointed little snout, you can see there. And that's because they're one of the only fish here that will feed on gorgonian polyps, which is the corals that we showed you at the start of this dive. So they use that snout to just pick out the individual animals of the coral.
Yeah, and they are actually indicator species. So indicator species means if they are present, they indicate that the coral reef is very healthy, because they can eat all the coral polyps of the gorgonians. If there were no corals or healthy corals, then they wouldn't be able to eat, and the butterfly fish wouldn't be there. So it's really good that we get to see all of these butterfly fish on the reef. You can see him cruising there for food. There we go.
We can see it using that mouth there. So it's not actually feeding on coral right now, it's actually getting the algae, but you can see just how easy it is for them to go up and pluck and suck things out.
Yeah, most fish on the reef are relatively generalist. As you can imagine, if there isn't a food source, it pays to be able to eat kind of anything. Oh, I think we've got another pair of angelfish up ahead.
Yes, so the four-eyed butterfly fish.
Oh, sorry, butterfly, yes. So that's a four-eyed butterfly fish. There we go. And you can see they look very similar, but have different patterning. And they still eat coral polyps, so right there, that's what he's going in to eat.
Oh, wow, that's really, really good to see it eating those polyps there. Really demonstrate what we're talking about. And we can see that it's left a little white patch. They tend to feed on the same patches for some reason. and it leaves this little white scarring behind, but as we can see, the overall coral is not in bad health at all. So that means that there must be a decent amount of numbers of butterfly fish, but not enough to affect corals too badly.
Yeah, I think it's like returning to your favorite restaurant. You know you're going to get a good meal. And Barbara was wondering, are fish ever relocated to help a sickly reef? Now, it's very uncommon for fish to be relocated, but what they do is they try and grow more corals to attract the fish. So obviously more corals, especially for these butterfly fish, they would be very happy to relocate or to swim to another reef if there's lots of food there.
Sorry, Simone, I didn't quite catch that last question. What was that?
Oh, that's all right. Barbara was just wondering, are fish ever relocated to help a sick reef? And I said, not too much.
Ah, yes, yes. Thanks for taking that one.
That's okay, not a problem. And
so we have come quite a bit shallower now. We're just on the crest of the reef, and funnily enough, there's actually a lot more fish here than what we were getting back here. As you can see right ahead of us, there's the purple Creole wrasse, the striped sergeant major, got a little crazy grouper just lying there with the spots on it. And even off in the distance we have some triggerfish and some blue tang. Look at that school that's just drifting past there in the distance with the black circular body. So
this is an underwater city.
Why there's a lot more action here than there was deeper in the reef. But I believe it could be because the sun's just starting to come out. So this place is really well lit.
Yeah, I think there's lots of food as well. A lot of fish that eat algae would definitely want to come up to the shallows where the sun can help more algae grow. So we're seeing those Creole wrasse, or the bright purple, longer fish. Those are Creole wrasse. Wow. And we've got a juvenile short-nosed puffer floating on top of a coral head right now. It's beautiful, very small. He's very good at hiding there. He's got some amazing colors on his face.
Now, I might move back out to the sandy patch out this way, just to see if I can find a stingray, because we do see a lot out here, and both times I've been out to this sandy patch in recent times, there has been a stingray hanging about. So we've got a lot of little fish so far today, but not much big stuff, so I want to find something cool.
Yeah.
But just as we're making our way out, we have a sergeant major here guarding a patch of eggs.
Oh, so sergeant majors have dark black stripes. So if you look on, there we go, there's a sergeant major. And those purple things on the ground are his eggs. Wow. Now, he won't want anyone to get too close to his eggs because eggs are pretty tasty on the reef. So he will be defending this patch of eggs 24/7.
Yeah, so if anyone remembers me earlier saying how aggressive damselfish are, well, sergeant major are a type of damselfish. So you can imagine it, if they're protecting their young, then they're going to be doing it very, very aggressively.
Yeah. And you can see he sinks low down to make sure that he's not missing anyone. And he's actually got to take care of these eggs pretty well. He has to make sure they get enough oxygen. So hopefully we'll see him rubbing himself or his mouth on the eggs. Yeah. And the mum, unfortunately, is not in the picture, so it is only the male that looks after these eggs.
Yeah, so there's a lot of paternal care there. So if it's motherly care, then we say it's maternal, and if it's fatherly care, we will say it's paternal.
Yeah, and keep your eyes on the left. There is a sneaky-looking black damsel fish who sometimes tries to creep close and then will go away. So we have to see if he's going to pop pop down and try and steal those eggs. Oh, he's swimming away. He realizes he didn't get anything. There we go. So this sergeant major is aerating its eggs.
Is it?
Oh, I don't know. Is it eating?
On its egg.
No. Okay, yeah. So another sergeant major has come and eaten this poor little guy's eggs. And you can see he's trying to chase them off. He's saying, "Get away, get away."
Wow, that is savage. That is full-on cannibalism right there.
Oh, no. All right. Peace has returned to the colony as they have swum away. Oh, no. Oh, wow. So as you can see, you need to defend this nest very, very well because there are so many fish around. So a proud cat mama was wondering how many eggs are laid at one time. This can be any number depending on how much the female can give, but it can be in the hundreds. They are very small eggs. The female will come and lay the eggs, then the male will swim over the top and fertilize the eggs. Multiple females' eggs can be in one nest as well.
Yeah, so having attached eggs does have its advantage because you always know where they're going to be, but also they're not exposed to the water currents very well, so that means that they do have to put in this care to keep the eggs aerated and keep them healthy and active. So the opposite end of the spectrum is broadcast spawners that will just release their eggs and sperm into the water and they will fertilise there, and then they're at the mercy of the currents and they don't give any parental care. So there are advantages to both types.
And I mean, as you saw there, the amount of energy you need to expend to look after a nest and constantly chase away possible predators, it would be very taxing on the sergeant major.
Now, I just saw a small eel move through here. Let me just see if I can find it.
So Pat thinks he saw a small eel.
It was an eel I've never seen before.
Okay, that's... So we do get some ribbon eels here, as well as morays, and the fearsome viper eel.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to find it, but it just came out very briefly to attack or chase a damselfish, and then just slipped right back into the cracks. It was a very, very fleeting moment, but it looked like a black and white eel about 40 centimetres long, and I've never seen anything like it here. So it's a bit unfortunate we couldn't get it on camera there.
Yeah, but very exciting. It means they're around, and if they're around, then lots of others should be near as well.
But we do have something else rare right here, and also very beautiful, a indigo hamlet.
Oh, okay, an indigo hamlet is a very bright blue striped fish. Oh, we can see it now. It's an indigo hamlet, and they normally hang at very deep depths, so this is very lucky to see.
Yes.
Wow, it's beautiful.
They're very, very magnificent. You can see those white bars and the different hues of blue and indigo here on it.
Yeah, and a hamlet, it looks like a normal reef fish, but they're actually more closely related to huge bass. They're also hermaphroditic, so they're male and female. So they can lay eggs as well as release sperm.
Yeah, so hermaphrodites are pretty common on coral reefs. I'm not really sure why, but I mean, it does have its advantages for females to be able to turn into males. It means that no matter what, there's always going to be another mating pair on the reef. So no matter what happens, as long as there's a population of females, then males will arise from it. So it kind of eliminates that need to search for a mate because there's always going to be a mate nearby.
Yeah, exactly. So they will never, inseminate themselves or produce a completely identical offspring, but it does make it easy to find another mate. And when they do mate, it is quite brief. They do not have, monogamy by any means. Wow, we're getting some beautiful colors there. So Tony was wondering how long until those eggs, those Sergeant Major eggs, hatch. And this is kind of applicable for most fish. The eggs hatch very, very quickly, only in a few days. But they are going to be very, very small. And so small that you might not even be able to see them with your eyes. And then they'll relocate to another reef or further down the same reef. So this hamlet here is different because it won't lay eggs or create a nest. It will spawn and release all of the eggs just into the water column. So there are two different ways of breeding on the reef, or multiple different ways.
Well, everyone, as beautiful as this little hamlet is to see, I'm going to have to call it quits right now. I am on 60 bar, so it's time for me to start coming up to the surface. But thank you all for joining me. It's been a very pleasant dive here this morning. Make sure you stick around. We've got another dive coming at 11 a.m. Grand Cayman time. And in the meantime, you can switch over and watch them at Safari Live over in Africa. Thanks to Rihanna and Simone. We'll see you here at 11 a.m. Grand Cayman time.